Okay, what is up, everybody? Isaac Parks here. Today we're going to be ranking all the punters from the Big Ten, requested by one of you guys. So we're going to go through, rank all the punters. Let's just hop right into it. No need to have any further discussion. You know what's going on. Also, you guys digging the new Punt Factory gear? It's pretty fire. It's like the other shirts, but now they're red. Just can't go wrong there. Okay, let's hop right into it, okay? So coming up at the bottom of the rankings, okay? Once again, if you see yourself ranked here at the bottom, don't get angry, don't get mad, prove me wrong, go out and kick better than what I think you're going to do. I'm only using past performances, so if you've grinded this offseason to get better, or something's been happening where you've been injured or yada yada, I'm not omniscient, I don't know that. This is not a judgment on you or your character. This is just ranking where I think you're going to be on the season. Okay, let's get into it. First, we got Zac Collins from Purdue coming at the bottom of the list. Zach kind of had a little bit of a rough season last year, okay? And he's a senior, had a rough season playing for Purdue. Not really much to say about that. I don't want to harp on it. Like I said, you never know if it's injury. You never know if it's coaching culture. You never know if they have him doing something weird. A lot of inside the 20 punts, but I know his average came in pretty low. So, you know, there's a chance. There's always a chance that something big pops off for him this year, jumps up to, you know, the 43s, 44s, comes at the top of the Big Ten. But right now, just based on past performance and age, I'm going to have to leave him here. Next, we got James Evans. So the reason that James Evans is so low, even though he hasn't played a game yet, usually I put people around like if you haven't played, I'll usually kind of mentally judge you at around like a 41. It's a pretty nice starting number. A lot of freshmen kind of hit that mark pretty consistently. But James, haven't put him quite there yet. And you'll see that I kind of have a similar judgment for guys that haven't played in the Big Ten, specifically for one reason. Holy shit, it is cold up there. Good God Almighty, okay? So, James, it's nothing against you, but I just think, you know, the temperatures, it just takes a lot of guys, you know, a while to work up into getting used to playing in that much cold, even if you're used to it at this level. Big stage, cold, a lot of conditions, as opposed to somewhere like the SEC, where it's just like, you can't get better conditions like that. So, James, sliding you into number 13 right here. Next, we got Colton Spangler. So, Colton has played 2 seasons with the Terps. He's averaged right at like 39.3. I think he's ready for a big pop-off season, but just looking from his last 2 seasons, haven't seen a reason to kind of believe like this is going to be the season where he jumps up to, you know, 43, especially since he went from like a 39.6 to a 39.3. It's been too eerily consistent. So can't really confidently assume that he's going to average above like a 41, 42. Love to see it though. Love to see it from Colton. I'd really like that. I think it would be a very good thing for him to do. I'm going to stop doing this, I promise. But until then, I got to leave him kind of down in sort of the dungeons of the Big Ten. For now, Colton. Come on, you got to put on for Maryland because my brother lives there. Next, we got Ohio State. So they just lost Drew Chrisman last season. Not lost him, but, you know, he's moved on to greener pastures, which is, you know, not hard to do when your original pasture is Ohio. Actually, he's still in Ohio with the Cincinnati Bengals. That's aside the point, because now he's getting paid to be in Ohio. Way better than doing it for free. But we have a little battle here between, let's see if I can get this name right, Michael O'Shaughnessy and Jesse Micro. So these are the 2 punters that they have left on roster, one of which is a sophomore, one of which they just brought in from Australia. Mr. Jesse Micro just moved in. It's kind of hard to tell where these guys are going to be. Obviously, Drew was the incumbent punter for 4 years. And both of these guys seem like very competent punters. It could go either way. Kind of hard to rank, but these guys I'm kind of mentally putting in the 41, 40-yard range because of, like I said, how competent they both seem. They've both, at least for Michael O'Shaughnessy, he's been in Ohio for a couple years now. He's managed to avoid committing suicide, which is the only logical thing to do if you live in Ohio. So I'm glad that he's really stuck it out. We're going to have to see about Jesse. This is going to be his first season here. So praying for them both. But hopefully, you know, whoever goes out there and just dings it. And God, just, I feel bad because they're in Ohio. Next, we have, God, like, how do you say this? How do you say this name? What is up with these people? We have William, and there's count it, one vowel in his last name. I'm not even going to try to say it. I'm going to call you William Pretzel. Next, we have Derek Adams from Northwestern. Derek is a grad student going into probably his last grad year with Northwestern. Well, I mean, his last one, unless, COVID, you guys know what's going on. It's all that stuff, right? We're not really worried about it. So Derek going into his last year, he had like a nice little 41-yard average. Hopefully he can kind of cap off on that. Once again, we're up north. The conditions, guys, the conditions are so bad. It's so hard to kind of break that spell of getting out of like that 41, 42 range. You're going to see it's a lot less common than like in the SEC. It doesn't have anything to do with the competency of the punters. But up north, it's nothing for them to have a consistent, like, 8-mile-an-hour wind. That's just going. That gusts up to, like, 20 miles an hour. That's just, like, an average day for them. So I can't really be too hard on these guys for their averages because, once again, it's just a completely different game once you get up, past sort of like that Mason-Dixon line area. So, that being said, Derek Adams finds his way down here on this bottom side of the list. Nearing around midpoint, we have a Mr. Jordan Stout. So Jordan actually has like this huge leg, huge upside, right? The only thing holding him back right now, in my opinion, has nothing to do with his talent, nothing to do with his upper end, everything to do with the fact that they have him doing field goals, kickoffs, and punts. And that's just, in my opinion, too much for him to focus on just punting. Punting is one of the most fine-tuned things that you can do on the football field. So if you're even off by like a centimeter, 2 centimeters, it'll greatly hurt your average. When it comes to days, you can't have a bad day punting, as you're going to see. Anybody who has like one single bad day when it comes to having a bad game can just absolutely destroy their season. So for that reason and that reason alone, I have to keep Jordan Stout a little bit lower on the list than maybe what his potential could be, if that makes sense. Next, Bryce Baringer. So Bryce is the Michigan State punter. Bryce had a pretty good season last season. We're kind of in that like 43-yard range. Pretty good season. The case of the pedophile stash strikes again. Always at least one. This looks like your creepy neighbor that you don't let your kids around. I'm just going to say it. Bryce, you seem like a great guy, though. I wish you nothing but the best. Shave the stash. Do it. Next, we have Blake Hayes. Blake is Aussie. Had a pretty good season at Illinois last year, not going to lie. Had a nice little 43-yard average, in that range, 43.6 or something like that. Has a lot of room to improve. I think Illinois has an indoor stadium, so if anybody here can make the biggest jump, my money's going on Blake, going into his second season or third season. I can't remember which one. And punting indoors, huge chance for him to just really blow his career open here as he just like fine-tunes his craft. Blake Hayes, Illinois State. Next, Daniel Sparks. So Daniel, moving him up on the list because his name is so similar to my own as far as Sparks, Parks. Got to give him a little bit of extra love going on here, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, he had a pretty good season, the high 43s. He's a younger guy, lots of room to improve, transferred in, played pretty well at his past school. Think he's going to take over the incumbent punter for this team. Gonna be keeping an eye on this man for sure, Mr. Daniel Sparks, starting in the upper part of this class of punters for the Big Ten. Next, Tory Taylor. So, Tory had a 44.1-yard average, plays for Iowa, really just has a lot of room to improve in his game even, from game to game. His upper limit's pretty high. I think he's got a lot of chance to move up in the ranks, but unfortunately from here, the competition just gets so good that I have just a hard time, kind of moving him up or down, if that makes sense. Finally, coming in at number 2, we have Andy Vujnovich. So you might look at his stats and see a 41.6-yard average and go, how are you ranking him so high? Personally, as a guy watching him punt live in front of me, I can't place him anywhere less high than number 2 at the least. And if the guy in front of him didn't have such a great season last year and I didn't think so highly of him, I might have risked it all and put Andy Vujnovich at number 1. But because this was Andy's first season at big FBS football and he had that 41.6 yard average, he has so much room to. His upper limit is this dude's averaging 48, 49. That is his upper limit, you know, if he gets there 50, and he has room and time to do it. So we'll have to see if Andy can really put a cap on that. He's super athletic, high vert, super strong, 395-pound bench. One of the only punters that I know has his own website. Go check it out, andyvujnovich.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it just doesn't get any better than that. The story writes itself. Excellent punter. Huge hopes for this guy going into the season. And am I saying this all because he beat me in a big ball contest in Houston? Don't worry about it. Anyway, finally, the number 1 punter going in to the 2021 season for the Big Ten. I gotta give it to, drumroll, Mr. Brad Robbins, coming out of Michigan. This is going to make Ohio State fans cry, but Brad is an incredibly talented punter. He was hitting 5-0s out of high school. Very calm, collected, has done nothing but improve. He's fought through a ton of injuries. So assuming that he stays healthy this year, I think Brad is going to put a cap on his illustrious career here at Michigan. I think he's going to put together one of his best seasons yet. His upper limit, once again, is around the 50-yard marker as far as average, not as far as big ball, of course. So I think we're going to see, hopefully, that shine through this season. Aside from the fact that he's playing in the bitter cold, aside from the fact that, you know, the conditions are less than stellar up north, I'm really hoping that we're going to see something like this out of him. Okay, that is all. Those are your Big Ten punters. If you guys agree, like the video. If you don't agree, leave a comment below. Tell me who should be where. Tell me where should be who. For the love of God, don't go up north. And whatever you do, ladies and gentlemen, stay out of Ohio. Okay? Anyway, hope you're having an amazing day. Peace.